Hi, I'm Sheree from the library, and I have some more choices for books that you might like to read in your mini book club. Today, I have a lot of books that are what we call realistic fiction. The story is made up, but it's based on things that could really happen to kids that are really going through things. So this is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. This book will break your heart. It's about a boy who lives on an Indian reservation. He is surrounded by poverty and alcoholism. The books in his school are so outdated that one day he gets the book that his grandmother actually used and is so furious he throws it at the teacher. When he meets with the teacher after class, they both decide that the only way this kid is ever going to change his life for the better is to start going to the white school a few miles away. The first day he's supposed to go, he ends up having to hitchhike because his dad, who was going to drive him, has used up the gas money drinking. When he gets to school, he thinks he's going to be as put down and abused as he is in his own community, but the white kids love him and they want him to be on the basketball team, except, oh, did I forget to say, he has a closed head injury, and if he's hit too hard, could die. Now, all of that is terrible and depressing and sad, but this book will also crack you up. It's incredibly inappropriate because it's all told from this crazy main character's point of view. He is a cartoonist, so there are a lot of very funny drawings in here. I suggest you not leave the pages open. There's nobody who wouldn't love this book. I recommend it highly. I want to talk about speed for a minute. Some of you may have read this in other classes, but if you haven't, I suggest everybody read this before they leave high school. It's about a girl who goes to her first high school party. She is sexually assaulted and ends up calling the cops, but then running away from the party. When the cops show up, they break up the party. And when she goes to school the next day, she finds out that everybody is angry with her because she got all the popular kids in trouble when the party got busted. She is so traumatized by what has happened to her, she stops speaking, and we start to see how all of this plays out from inside her head. Really powerful book by Lori Halsey Anderson. This is Ball Don't Lie. This is a classic sports story about a kid. I think his name is Sticky. And he's been in every foster home. He is about to age out. His life is going nowhere. The only thing he has going for him is he's a great basketball player. How he can use that talent to get someone to notice him who can change his life is what Ball Don't Lie is all about. It's a quick, fast read. This is Cut. This is one of my all-time favorite books, which is hard to say because it's about a really difficult topic, which is self-harm. It's about a girl who has been cutting herself so severely that she is now in a mental hospital because she can't be safe at home. It tells about her process of coming to find out what has happened to her, why she does what she does. This was a book, I didn't know a lot about cutting, and when I read it, it really helped me understand what that's about. And I have to say, this is a book we can hardly keep on our shelves. It disappears all the time. And I think people are reading it either because they are having these feelings or they know somebody who does. It's a fast read. It's an intense read. This is Every Last Word, and this is about a girl named Samantha. She is one of the popular girls. She looks right, she talks right, she has the right clothes. She's perfect in every way, except she's keeping a secret. And that secret is she is plagued by obsessive compulsive disorder. There are thoughts that she can't control and anxieties and rituals that she has to go through. And she's terrified that if her friends find out, she won't be popular anymore. She won't have any friends. When she meets a girl named Caroline and connects with her over their love of writing poetry, and she joins Caroline's secret society of poets and writers, she wants to keep it all a secret again from her popular friends, afraid that they'll find out that she's not who she appears to be. This book has one of those classic YA twists in it. I didn't see it coming. It really surprised me. Some of what you think is happening is very different than the reality. And this is If I Stay. Speaking of reality, this one is about a girl who has been in a car accident, and now her reality is she is trapped between living and dying. She begins to understand that while she is still technically alive, she is departing more and more and more from this life. But as people come in to visit her, her parents, her brother, her boyfriend, she really has to make a decision about whether she wants to move on from this life or she wants to try to live. It's really, really good. Two other realistic fiction that are a little bit lighter I want to mention are both by Nicola Yoon. This is Everything, Everything, and this is about a girl who has an immune disease that makes her susceptible to every kind of illness. And so she stays in the house all the time, where her environment can be completely controlled by she and her mother. The air is filtered, and anything she needs has to come in and be sanitized before she uses it. One day she notices across the driveway that a new family has moved into the house next door, and she begins to see the boy who is the teenage son in the family from her window to his window. They begin to sort of communicate from house to house. Eventually he wants to come to visit her, and then he wants her to go outside. This is another book that has a twist coming. I didn't see it, and I didn't get where it was going. So when it happens, it takes the story in a whole different direction. Fast read, quick read, great love story, also a lot of mystery. This is The Sun Is Also a Star. It's about two kids in New York who meet cute one morning and then continue to meet throughout the day. What we begin to find out is one of them, her family is in danger of being deported. They are immigrants who don't have the proper papers. The other kid is waiting to find out if he's gotten into the university that his parents really want him to go to, even though he does not want to be there. They keep meeting throughout the day and build this amazing relationship. The whole book takes place in 24 hours. Incredible read. I want to talk about non-realistic fiction for a minute and move to fantasy. This is Red Queen, and I don't usually love a fantasy book, but this one really grabbed my attention. So the main character is Mare, and Mare lives in a world that is divided by blood. There are people with red blood, and they are the servants of the silver blood people who have supernatural powers that make them almost like gods. One day when Mare is working in the palace, there's an accident, and it's discovered that she also has a tremendous power. The king doesn't want anybody to know that a red-blooded person has power, so he quickly marries her off to his son, and they are supposed to keep silent about this development. But in fact, she starts to work with the red-blooded rebellion to overthrow the Silvers. This is first in a series, so if you love this one, as I did, you want to keep going and read more. This is The Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson, and it is written by Rick Riordan. Let me first say, and if you put Rick Riordan into the library computer, you will get not only all of his amazing books, but he has also created books that talk about myths from all over the world. And they're all action adventure. This particular one is about a boy who finds out he's the son of a Greek god. Who knew? And now he is off to figure out what that means for his life and how that is going to change things. He ends up at a camp for other half human, half god children, Camp Half-Blood. It's a very, very funny book. As I say, fantasy is not usually my thing, but once I got into this book, the characters drive it. The story is hilarious, and the adventures make you turn the pages really fast. This is one, and I think a series of 5 or 6. You're going to want to read everyone. I also want to mention the fantastic author John Green. Some of you may know his works. These are two of my favorite. This is Looking for Alaska. And Looking for Alaska is about a kid who goes off to boarding school. And at that boarding school makes friends with his roommate, and they befriend a girl down the hall. Her name is Alaska, and of course, one of them is the main character is secretly in love with her. The first part of the book is before, 5 weeks before, 5 days before, 5 minutes before, then something happens that is so traumatic, it changes the course of their lives and the rest of the book. It then begins with the after, a few minutes after, half an hour after, an hour after, and what you find out has happened is so impactful. This is a book that will end up on your top 10 favorite things you ever read. Fantastic. This is one of John Green's later books. It's called The Fault in Our Stars, about 2 kids, both who have a terminal illness, and they meet at their treatment facility and fall in love. Both of their parents are opposed to this relationship, not only because it jeopardizes their physical health, but because they feel that their kids are not going to be able to handle it if something happens to the other one, and they're both so sick. That's very likely. So if you're looking for the tearjerker that, again, ends differently than you ever think it will, this one is for you, and it will read very quickly. I want to mention a couple of nonfiction books. These are books that are not stories as fiction, but are in the real world. This is Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Some of you may know Trevor Noah as the host. He's now just recently left, but he was hosting The Daily Show. He took over for Jon Stewart. He's a very funny comedian. He was born in South Africa. His mother is Black. His father is white. And at the time he was born, it was illegal for Black and white people to have intimate relationships. So he is born a crime from his very existence. It talks about his life in South Africa, what it was like growing up there, one foot in both worlds, his relationship with his father. And then unbelievably, once you find out what his early life was like, he ends up in America and has this incredible success. So it's really that, deprived life to growing up to an amazing life. How he got there is pretty cool. This is Hole in My Life by Jack Gantos, who is an amazing author. He writes books mostly for middle school, middle grades now, fiction books. Joey Pigza is one of his series, but this is the story that happened to, the true story of what happened to him as a young man when he got mixed up moving drugs from the South to New York City, and got caught, got arrested, and goes to prison. It tells you a little bit about each step of that journey, what he was thinking, what it was like when he was there, and how he came out of it. Last but not least, in nonfiction, I want to mention The 57 Bus. This is one of my all-time favorite books. It reads like a true crime story. Kid is on the bus, falls asleep. Another kid gets on the bus. I believe it's in San Francisco, and is messing around with the lighter, eventually lights the other kid's clothes on fire. And it's all about what happens after that. Who survives, what the injury is, what is reported to the cops, what the cops do, what happened to both these kids, Sasha and Richard, once this fire on the bus has been set. It's an incredible story that you will be amazed where it goes. All of these are fantastic picks. I hope you find something that you love here. Good luck.